Joining us from Jerusalem is Arenfeld. He's the founder and former director of Awake at Night, the Israeli Association of Former POWs. And here with us in the studio, Rabbi Yuval Sherlo, one of the founders of the Zohar Rabbinical Organization. He fought alongside Baumel in the Sultan Ya'akov battle and knew him from before. And Rabbi, let me start just by asking you, especially for our viewers abroad, what does it mean for Israel and also for yourself personally that Zachary's remains were finally returned?
For Israel, it means that something that we were dedicated for. The idea that every Israeli soldier will know when he's going to the battlefield that he will be responsible in order to bringing back whatever will happen. And the fact that the whole Israel is behind it, and the solidarity between all the families and the civil part of Israel and the soldiers together, this is something that is very important, because now every soldier knows that we will know him, will keep him in mind, whatever will happen. For me personally, it's two things. First of all, it's a battlefield that I took place there 37 years ago. And actually, slowly you forget things. And then, you know, when such a information comes, you are excited. You are really, something is happening, and all the memories are becoming new again, because we were surrounded, we were captured. It wasn't a big victory. The opposite is the right thing. The second thing is that for years we demanded, and we said to the government and to everyone else, and that we have to bring them back. Many times we thought that people are ignoring it and forgot about it, and I'm very proud to be part of the Israeli nation and the IDF that did everything in order to bring him back.
So you actually took part in the mission to try and rescue him after this happened. With some of those memories, as you describe it, starting to float back up, what do you remember from that time, from those crucial days and hours?
I remember, first of all, the battlefield is a big mess. You don't know who's the enemy, who's a part of your people. It was all overnight. And it's a big mess, and you didn't know if to shoot, not to shoot, what to do, where to go, what's happening. Now, when the sun raised, and when it started, the day started, and we understood what actually is the map and how bad is the situation, then trying to do everything in order to, you know, bring people back. You must understand, we left there 8 tanks. We left in the battlefield. We actually, every tank that was able to move, we put the dead bodies and all the people that were still alive on a tank wherever we can, and went back.
Ori, I want to ask you, it's been so many years trying to get even information about his remains. Why do you think finally, we don't know the details, that finally Israel was able to get his body back in here?
I don't know. I think that ever since the battle ended, we, the IDF and the nation, were busy by bringing them back home. And we never gave up. It was an open wound for our society, for the Israeli IDF, for the soldiers, and especially for the groups that I am representing ever since 1973, the Israeli POWs. For us, it was a terrible wound that we had to, we felt that we must take care of it, no matter what the price will be, to make sure that the soldiers from Sultan Ya'akov will be back.
Tell us a little bit more about that, because...
And today...
Well, Uri, because for Israel, both fallen soldiers and missing soldiers play such a specific and powerful role in the national consciousness, tell us a little bit more about what the families have gone through and what your interaction with them has been like over these past nearly 40 years.
I think that it is the worst nightmare for a family to know that their son is missing in action, and not having a place to come and grieve, and on Memorial Days, it's terrible. The unknown end of this battle is one of the worst things to deal with. And I'm happy for the Baumel family, for the mother especially, that this day came, even though it took 37 years. It's the worst thing to know that your son is somewhere and you don't know what happened to him.
Right. Rabbi, of course, Yonah Baumel, the father, who fought to get his son back, passed away, but you knew Zachary from his religious studies. He came with his, as a young child with his family from America. What kind of young man was he?
He was my parents came from the States too. We have approximately the same biography, even though I was born here in Israel. They came in 49, but I know the environment. And he was a typical Israeli Zionist religious fellow that in the yeshiva studied and learned a lot of Torah and a lot of Judaism. And when he went to the army, he was a very good soldier. Now, you must understand that this battle, we were in the reserves already. I mean, I had 2 or 3 children already as a commander. I mean, we were older. So therefore, he started his life. He started to find his way. He wasn't a young soldier. All of us weren't so young. We weren't 18 years old. We were quite older. So therefore, you could see that he has a great future, but he didn't reach it.
Right, a future cut short. Well, on that note, we're going to pause this conversation for just a moment. We're out for a quick break, but this developing story now, the revelation, a mystery solved after 37 years. Zachary Baumel's remains found, identified, and brought back to Israel. The conversation continues when we're back. Don't go anywhere. Here with us in the studio is Rabbi Yuval Sharlo, who fought alongside Baumel in the Sultan Ya'akov battle, the battle in which he died. And joining us still in Jerusalem is Uri Arenfeld, the founder and former director of Awake at Night, the Israeli Association of Former POWs. Uri, I want to come back to you to look ahead for a moment, because when Benjamin Netanyahu spoke just a short while ago, he acknowledged the still missing POWs, including 2 Israeli soldiers fallen and still held in Gaza. What are your efforts like in terms of bringing them back home, and how hopeful are you that that's going to happen?
Look, once we are drafted to the service, we know before going into combat that the nation and the IDF will take care of us no matter what will happen. I myself, I'm already 65 years old today, but I remember from the days that I went on fighting 45 years ago that I trusted the society and the IDF that they would take care of me. And once I was as a POW in Egypt, I knew that it might be a matter of months, maybe years, but I knew for sure that the day of freedom will come. And I think that the young generation of our soldiers, they do know also. And they trust the nation and they trust the IDF that no matter what will happen, they will return home. And we try every once in a while to make sure that the society in Israel won't forget. We are active in the media to make sure that the missing soldiers will be remembered. And on the other hand, we do feel a deep pain from the fact that there are still missing soldiers from different battles in Israel.
Yeah, Rabbi, though, what are the ethics involved, though, when that could involve an exchange where Palestinian prisoners are released or other Israelis are put at risk, which might have been the case here, we don't know, to get Zachary Baumel's remains?
Like any other ethical dilemmas, it's a dilemma, and it's a very complicated question. Our pre-assumption must be the soldiers must be brought back. Now, dealing with the price, you have to negotiate, and you have to ask yourself if it's the right thing to do in this case. But first of all, from the ethical point of view, you have first of all to be committed, completely committed, and don't say there's nothing we can do and we are not going to do anything. Now, when you deal with all kinds of properties, we have to pay the price. When you deal with risk, with soldiers that will may be wounded or whatever, you have to be very careful, like in every dilemma. But don't forget, never forget, your mission and your commitment to be dedicated to bring everyone back home.
It's really interesting because this is all a 37-year-old wound for Israel and the national consciousness, but as you point to, it's just as relevant in 2019 as it was back then. Rabbi Yuval Sherlo, pleasure to have you with us, and thanks to Uri Ehrenfeld in Jerusalem.